So let's get going. So let's just jump straight in. First of all, something easy. How has lockdown been? You know, the past year has been a bit crazy, being cooped up in our houses. How's it been for you?
Last year it wasn't too bad, really. It was, I don't know, I guess a bit of a novelty for everybody as well last year. And when they announced the lockdown, the sun came out. It didn't go back in again for about 6 weeks. So it was made it a lot easier, you know, with the weather being so good and that. But this time, I think, you know, it's like the third time now. It being January is pretty much the worst month, but it's the worst month of the year for me anyway. I hate it. I usually get out of the way in January and go away somewhere warm, like South Africa for 10 days or something, you know. But so I found it quite hard this one in January as well, with the weather as horrendous as been the last few weeks and that. So it's been difficult. It's certainly in the first few weeks it's tested me a little bit, and I've had to have a bit of a word with myself and get a grip and get positive and get outside doing stuff, whether it was bad weather or not. But we're getting there now. Sun's shining today, and feel like I can see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, you know, with the clocks going forward in March as well. So been on the summer.
Fantastic. Alrighty, so you've got a watch coming out, right? A Foggy signature watch with Forza. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, it's exactly what you said it is, really. It's just a limited edition watch. I've kind of got involved with the design myself, really. I mean, we've just gone for something I kind of like anyway, a bit like what I've got on now, really. A stainless bracelet and a stainless steel watch. The Foggy logo's on there. It's a limited edition of 123, just in recognition of my TT lap, funnily enough. We wanted to do something, they wanted to do a limited number, not too many. So they just asked me what is a significant number. And I threw a few numbers at them with race wins and whatnot, and I threw in the 123 mile an hour lap, which was a lap record back in 1992, which stood for 7 years back then. And I guess in some ways I'm very proud of my history at the TT and stuff. And a lot of people forget that, you know, I was a short circuit racer and a world champion on short circuits, but you know, I was very, very fast and won the TT and that kind of thing, you know. So we kind of in memory of that, really, which I'm quite pleased about. And even the colours, like different colours. The red face one's gone down really well for obvious reasons, I guess. But that should be coming out in, I think, end of March, beginning of April. So just another added collection to the old merchandise range.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I did get a picture, and I must admit I'm a big fan of watches myself, and I do enjoy the look of it. It looks very good. So congratulations. Yeah. Next thing is I want to talk about your partnership with CCM. So obviously, not too long ago, you guys announced the Ccm Spitfire, the Foggy edition. What made you? First of all, I love the way it looks. That little cafe racer vibe with the hidden pipe. I love that. What made you want to go in that direction, though? Because I mean, obviously, I know that's kind of CCM's vibe. But what made you partner with CCM and think, okay, you know, this is a cool project, it's a cool company, I want to do something with them?
Well, I've known the company most of my life, to be honest. Austin, who runs the company now, is a good friend of mine. They're based, they're a small British motorcycle company. We're based not far from where I live now, really, and Austin lives 2 miles back that way. So I've known a long time. I've always kind of not always been involved, but been involved on on the off-road side of things a little bit. 20 years ago now, when we used to do a bit of supermoto and the enduro ride-outs for CCM. So my connection with them goes back a long time, even before then, with my family knowing them and stuff, you know. So they kept trying to get me to get involved a little bit over the last sort of 4 or 5 years, but I was engaged in other projects really I couldn't really get out of, you know. So and I really like what they were doing. When I saw the Spitfire, the launch of the bike in what it was maybe 5 years ago now, the original Spitfire. So it looked really cool, and it just said, "Look, come and get involved, really." And I said, "Well, if I do, I don't really want to just come and stick my name on it and just just be doing nothing really. I'd rather get a bit more involved, you know." So and Austin said, "Well, we really want you to create your own bike, really take the Spitfire bike and just put your own stamp on it, you know." So that's pretty much what I did, really, and just. I thought, well, if I'm going to make a bike and reference it to me and who I was and what I did, then you've kind of got to go for that kind of superbike feel. So we kind of we did the first bike. There was two bikes really, like an FT version, an S version. The S version was in a way, and that's what people instantly look at, and you associate it with me, with the pipe up out the back of the seat and all the little foggy bits on red and things like that, number one and stuff. So yeah, it went down really well when it came out, and so that's where it all started from really, and I'm still involved with the guys, and yeah, it's a great fun little bike to ride really, great around town, around the country roads, a lot of fun. Kind of variation of that original Spitfire, whether it's a bobber or a cafe or a scrambler. They do quite a few different variations of that, of the Spitfire bike, and the foggy one is one of those variations of it.
That's fantastic, man. Well, like I said, I absolutely love the look. In preparation for chatting to you, I went and had a look through their website and their different models and stuff like that. And I must admit, they do some really, really cool stuff. Like, I really actually enjoy their bikes. So I'd be keen to give one a ride one day.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Let's get more into the Superbike side of things, right? So, multiple world championships, second most successful rider in history, or in World Superbike history. Did you ever feel when you started racing in World Superbikes that you would get to that point? That you would be, for a very long period of time, the most successful World Superbike rider in history?
Yeah, for about 25 years, wasn't it, really? I don't know, really. I was always very confident in my own ability, and my determination was always there. I would always tell anybody who would listen that I was going to be a world champion. I kind of believed it myself. Seems strange now I look back to that kid at 12, 13 years old who never even raced a bike at that age.
Yeah.
To think that and believe that. I don't know if I just said it because I thought it sounded cool or I actually believed it, but I think I did believe it. I don't know. I just wanted to race bikes to be world champion. Really, really did. And I would stop at nothing to make that happen, really. But I mean, what goes on after that, after you become world champion and things, and the records and stuff like that, you don't really think about those sort of things, really. You just want to race, win races and be world champion. And then you don't set out to be, the most successful, I guess, at that, or the best ever or whatever. But you just want to win races and be world champion. And whatever comes after that, I guess, is a bonus, really. But no, I didn't think too far ahead.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so obviously, career cut short with that massive, awful crash at Phillip Island. And then you went on, you started the Petronas, the Foggy team with the FP1. I just want to find out, what was it like going back to the paddock, in a completely different role? Was it difficult? Was it enjoyable? How was that for you?
It was a bit difficult, if I'm honest. I didn't realize it at the time. I don't think. I think I look back now, you could tell that it was difficult for me because of the way I was. I think it was too raw for me. I just retired from racing, I think, through injury, and I feel like I should have maybe gone away and forgot about it for a few years. But when you're presented with some opportunity like that, it was hard to say no to, really. But yeah, I think I did struggle with it, to be honest, a little bit, because I was not the guy out there winning the races. I mean, the championship and me together with probably Sky TV in the UK became so big. I mean, it really did. It was just off the scale how big the whole thing had become,
Yeah.
And to me, kind of not part of that anymore. I felt like I'd opened the door for everybody else to benefit from. In some ways, that was just me, the way I was. So I think I handled it not too good probably at the time, really. Even though I was involved with Petronas team, running that team, and we did a great job running that team. Really, obviously we had issues with the engine and stuff with that project, which held us back a lot. But I kind of don't regret it. I shouldn't have no regrets. But yeah, it was probably difficult. It's just probably too soon after retiring from racing that I got that opportunity to do that. But like I say, it was too good an opportunity to say no to, really.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I get that. All right, the next question I have for you is, once the Isle of Man TT was removed from the original MotoGP calendar, for years and years it was the British round. You saw fewer and fewer World Superbike riders and MotoGP riders taking part in the event. So, to have, Carl Fogarty at the Isle of Man TT, it's a big thing. So Was it just that pure rush that you were after? You know, the pure adrenaline, something different? Why? What made you go for the Isle of Man?
Yeah, I was probably the last of that, of a certain breed, I guess, that did that and went on to world championship success on short circuits. It'll probably never happen again. But for me, it was being brought up with the TT, really. That's why, like I said, even with the watches I've just mentioned, it's always a special place for me. All my childhood memories are of that place. You know, my dad used to race the TT. So for me as a kid, it went every year from being 1 year old, you know. We got 2 weeks off school. It was great, you know, going to like a holiday and bikes involved, things like that, you know. I was always there and around the paddocks and stuff. So, and he finished second. His best result was second and behind Joey, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
So, he had quite a bit of bad luck. He had a lot of good luck as well because he crashed in a lot of places around there. So for me, I really wanted to win the TT. I really, really did. And that was a big, and then go on to the short circuits and the world championships, which is kind of what happened really. And like I said, I didn't realize how much it meant to me until I went back there some years after I'd last raced there. I went back for the Millennium thing, 100 years in 07. And I thought, oh my God, I really miss this place. I even get goosebumps now talking about it. You know, it's, I just have a lot of, it's probably kind of, I don't know, spiritual kind of, I don't know, the place, it just has that feel for me. I don't know what it is. I can't think of the right word, to be honest, but, so yeah, but like I say now, and it's not been, you know, there's no guys go there now. It's, that can have short circuit success at British level, never mind world level, really, to be honest. All right, Pete Strickman, the best guy around there now, the fastest guy around there. He's not a bad short circuit race on the British Superbike Championships. You know, top 6 or 7, he'll be there. But yeah, it's changed a lot, like you say. And I guess because it's so dangerous, that's the only reason people don't need to go. If you're a top guy, you know, running the World Championships, why would you go there? It's, you know, you kind of tend to find the people that go there, the people that stay there. God, in a cruel way of saying it, I don't like saying these words, but there's actually somebody else's words that I've picked up on them. They're kind of almost like you're a failed short circuit racer, really. And it's a bit, cruel way of saying it. And I don't mean it in that kind of way, but if you're not good enough to earn a living or to run up front at the top of the British scene or a world championship, on the short circuits, then, and you love racing, then, you know, then if you're prepared to put with the risks of what might happen, and there's good money to be earned at the TT, you know, especially the last 10, 15 years with the way TV coverage has changed. It's incredible now, you know, that the TT guys now become really famous and right, so in America, but even though they're not the fastest guys in the world, far from it, but they're brave enough to go around there 130 mile an hour, so you kind of take your ass off that, really. But none of them are that good to, you know, go on to win stuff on short circuits at world level, far from it, you know. But doesn't mean to say they can't ride a motorcycle fast.
Yeah, I think the bragging rights alone of winning a TT or even competing in the TT is something else. All right, done a little bit of endurance racing, you know, won the endurance world title, 24 hours of Le Mans, some amazing achievements. But now I want to know from you, which are you most proud of? You know, so you've got the first senior TT win, you've got World Superbike Championships, and you've got 24 hours of Le Mans World Endurance Championship. So which one for you really stands out? You know, makes you think, you know, that was a special time. That was for me the best.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer because they're all very, very special at that time. Really. I think between the TT and the World Superbike, those two, very, very hard to win for different reasons. Really, obviously the danger of the TT and the competitiveness of the Superbikes, but I think it's probably harder to win for me. It's probably harder to win at the top level against top guys at World Superbike. To be honest, you know what I mean. I didn't have that much competition really at the TT. If I'm honest, there was 1 or 2 guys, but you know, World Superbike for a lot of fast guys who are big characters, push the limit, and you know, in some ways a lot like me. You know what I mean? They don't like losing, and so I think that winning that really, becoming the world champion, you know, in '94, I guess, at the other side of the world in Australia when it went down to the very last round. I think that just is the one really. The TT was more a personal thing for me, and just like, you know, putting my name on that trophy because my dad's name wasn't on it, you know. that was special. And to hold the lap record for so many years, that was very, very special. But I think to be a world champion on short circuits is tough. It's very, very hard. And that is the one, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I must admit, it's not the answer I expected.
Really?
I did expect the T to win, but that's fantastic.
If you ask me the same question next week, it might be the CT. I don't know. I've changed your mind, I guess.
Yeah. So now let's talk about the current day, right? So can't mention World Superbikes without mentioning Johnny Ray, right? The guy has just been untouchable in the last 6 years. You know, if you're going to bet against him this year, it's going to be a difficult. But there are guys coming in. I mean, Scott Redding last year had a fantastic year. You know, I mean, rookie season, made mistakes. So who do you think is going to be, you know, do you think Scott Redding's going to take it to Ray this year? Do you think there's somebody else that could, you know, maybe Tito Rabat coming in from GP? You know, what are your thoughts on the 2021 World Superbike season?
Yeah, as you were sort of thinking, same again. For me, I think it will be a little bit closer. But Jonathan, his consistency and his dedication and motivation never seems to change from year to year. That motivation to keep going out and winning is difficult once you've won it and won it again. I mean, I know more than anybody, so it doesn't seem to waver with him at all. He still seems very, very hungry and very determined to win. I do think Scott will be closer. I think that Scott will be his main challenge, if I'm honest. And yeah, I mean, surprises. Well, some of them Yamaha guys are going fast last year. I can't never pronounce his name. The Turkish lad's fast, isn't he?
Toprak.
Toprak, yeah. Is he riding the Yamaha again? Is he?
I believe so.
I think so. Then maybe it's his teammate I'm thinking of who's gone to BMW.
Yes.
Van der Mark. Again, he could be a bit of a surprise on that bike, really, BMW, because you know they have a good machine. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. And then you got the young American guy who went fast last year, and then the other Ducati guy. I can't remember the name.
Rinaldi and Gerloff.
Rinaldi on the Ducati, young lad who won his first race, and that Gerloff. So there's some guys there who have that question mark over them. Can they? You know, they're fast guys, but can they be fast consistently throughout the year and challenge Jonathan? That's the hardest thing to do. Trying to match his consistency is ruthless. It really is. And that's what the others have got to do. They might be able to beat him 1 week, but can they do it the week after that? That's what remains to be seen, really.
Yeah. All right, cool. Thank you. So the next question I have is, you know, since the reign of Ray began, World Superbike's got a lot of criticism and lost a lot of supporters because people thought, you know, it got boring. You know, week in, week out, it was Jonathan Ray just decimating everybody else. And in the last year or so, it's kind of picked up. You know, the new guys are coming in. Alvaro Bautista came in, challenging a bit. Redding did the same thing. What do you think about that? You know, do you agree with the fact that people think World Superbike's got a bit boring?
I don't think it's ever got boring, really. It's just maybe lost its appeal. And I keep going back to the MotoGP coming onto the scene, but that becoming then the biggest four-stroke championship in the world. Obviously, back in my day, it wasn't. That four-strokes were huge. Superbikes around the world sold a lot of bikes, TV coverage. Everything was, Superbike was going mental. It really was. It was huge. It was the biggest four-stroke championship in the world. And the MotoGP came in, I think it was 2003, and then the top teams and top riders from World Superbike leaving and going to MotoGP. And I think it's struggled really since then, sort of going back that far, really, and I really do. It's not boring racing; it's still good racing. There's still some good, talented guys out there, but
definitely
it's hard for people, and you know, to get their heads around it. But I think the biggest reason for me is MotoGP is like everyone's fascinated by that now. Whereas back in my day, it was Superbikes, and that's the big difference, really. Nothing to do with the guys out there now. I don't think they're very fast guys. The racing is always good racing, really. Whether someone's winning a lot of the races or not, there's always battles everywhere. Even in my era, I kind of won a lot of races, cleared off a lot of the times. People said, "Well, that was boring," but you know, I kind of like seeing that. I like seeing dominance, mate, in a way. I don't know what it is, maybe because of my era and the way I was, I don't know. So when somebody's much faster than everybody else, and I like that, even though people watching don't like it, they want to see battles, you know, and it's way back.
Yeah, I think everyone just wants to see the, bashing and crashing into each other through the corners, 100 overtakes a lap, and see who comes out on top. But I must agree with you. So if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you, so what we do with these interviews is we ask our readers, we're chatting to Carl Fogarty or Nick Harris or whoever, if you could ask them one question, what would it be? So if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a few questions from our readers, if that's all right.
Okay, fire away.
Okay, cool. So the first one is, Ayrton Senna described his famous Monaco pole lap as an out-of-body experience. Have you ever experienced something like that where you and the bike just felt like one?
I think the race that springs to mind when you said that really was one together, and I just could make it. I could just speed up and go faster and faster and faster. And if anyone got close to me, I could even faster, and no one did. And it was probably Brands Hatch in 1995 when the bike was in its second year. It was pretty much perfect. Did what I wanted to. It was great. It just, for my strengths as a rider, my corner speed, mid corner, that kind of thing, which is my strong point really. My corner speed, that bike would allow me to do that, and I just felt like I was totally on rails. The bike was absolutely at one with me and was perfect in every area throughout that race. And it was great to win both races, lap record in front of one of the biggest crowds it's in back at Britain in sort of 10, 15 years, 60,000 people there.
Fair enough. The next one is, obviously you had a lot of success with Ducati in World Superbikes, massive success with Ducati. If you didn't ride for Ducati, is there another team at the time that you thought, I'd like to ride for them, or, they look like a competitive team to ride for?
Yeah, you know what? Everybody had back in my day, the manufacturers were throwing so much money at this championship. They had fantastic bikes out there. Every bike was from Japanese bikes. They're all from the factory. HRC and Yamaha, and factory Suzuki's, factory Kawasaki's. I guess nowadays it's more privately run teams with sponsorship and that. So I had an offer from every single one of them. And at the end of '95, Kawasaki, Suzuki, Honda, which obviously I went to, and Yamaha. I don't know. The bike, I always liked the Yamaha. I had rode the Yamaha at the TT, and I always wanted to be on the Yamaha on short circuits in the late 80s, early 90s. I was on the RC30, and it really didn't suit me at all. Really, I had great success on it, but it was the worst handling bike I've ever rode, if I'm honest. The front end would just roll all the time. I hated it, and I lost so many races because of this, Yeah. But the Yamaha looked great, and I always thought the Yamaha was the best handling bike out there, and it was pretty fast as well on the long straights at Hockenheim and Monza. It was always thereabouts. So I think Yamaha would have been a bike I'd like to maybe have raced at the world level. Yeah, definitely. I think I'd have done good on that.
Fantastic. Next question, sorry, I've got two more for you. So the next one is, what is your favorite track? Whether it be, on the World Superbike circuit or local racing, whatever. What is your favorite track?
My favorite track in the world was Assen, the old Assen circuit before they've destroyed it now. I won, I think, 12 out of 14 races there. And funny enough, the only two I remember is the two that I lost by about half a wheel. I had some excuses for losing them as well. I wasn't happy about it, but there you go. But that just suited my style as a rider. Again, going back to my strengths as a rider, letting go of the brakes and running into corners fast, picking up on the gas very quickly, my mid-corner speed. And that circuit was all about doing that, Yeah, and the corner's been a little bit banked as well. It even helped me even more, So that circuit was a fantastic circuit. It really was. It was a lot of people's favourite. That was my favourite circuit. In Britain, I think Donington Park, again, for similar sort of reasons, really. Donington Park from turn one all the way around to Copies, that you call it, when you come to the back straight. It's just one big section that really got to carry lots and lots of corner speeds to get you good lap time, Then my favourite circuit in the UK was probably Donington. For the atmosphere, obviously, Brands Hatch, that was amazing. But on the world, it would be Assen. I had quite a few favourites, but that always was the top one. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. Last question I have for you is, who is on your Mount Rushmore of bike greats?
Kenny Roberts was my hero, so I'll have to go with that. Everything was about Kenny Roberts when he was a kid in the 70s. Even my first leathers were designed off his leathers from 82.
Yeah.
I started in 83. I don't know what it is when you're a kid, you pick up on something. Maybe I saw him at the Max races that we used to have when the Americans would come over to race against the Brits.
Yeah.
My local circuit is Alton Park, and I would go to that as a kid with my dad. And yeah, the bikes, the American bikes look better than ours. You know what I mean? The color schemes and the big fancy numbers. And I don't know what it is as a kid. You pick up on something. Maybe he was the fastest. He must have won in Kenny. I can't remember now. But yeah, he was always my hero, Kenny Roberts, really. So it would be him, yeah.
Kenny Roberts is your number one.
He is, yeah. Still.
Fair enough. All right, Foggy, listen, that's all I've got for you today. But thank you so much. I really appreciate the chat. It's been an honor to meet you, even if it is just over Zoom. And I hope you have a good Friday and a great weekend, man. Thank you so much.
You too, mate. Pleasure. Take care.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.